I never expected two simple words to change the course of my relationship. My name is Alex, I'm 29, and I run a small digital marketing agency in Chicago. My fiancée, Lauren, and I had been together for 5 years, engaged for 1. I thought we were strong, a team that could withstand anything. But one evening, as I sat down after a long day at work, Lauren looked at me with a seriousness I hadn't seen before. "Alex, we need a break," she said, her voice low and firm. "Don't contact me for a while." Those words hit me like a punch to the gut. For a moment, I felt panic, disbelief, and anger all at once. How could she say that? We were engaged, planning a life together, and suddenly, she was putting up a wall between us. My instincts screamed to plead, to argue, to convince her that this was unnecessary, that we could work through it. But something in me paused. I realized that reacting impulsively would only escalate the situation, feed her fear, and possibly push her further away. So I did something unexpected. I stayed calm. I looked at her, my voice steady, and said simply, "Okay." Her reaction was immediate. Shock, confusion, a hint of fear flashed across her face. I didn't yell, I didn't beg, I didn't demand an explanation. I simply remained composed, showing that my emotions weren't being dictated by her ultimatum. In that calm, the balance of power subtly shifted. She expected an emotional outburst, a plea, a frantic attempt to salvage the moment. But instead, she saw composure, dignity, and self-respect. Over the next few minutes, we sat in silence. I let the words hang between us, heavy with implication. My calm reply wasn't just about refusing to react. It was about sending a clear message. I respected her feelings, but I wouldn't compromise my own emotional stability. For years, I had allowed the dynamics of our relationship to tilt toward her moods, her fears, her insecurities. Now, by holding steady, I silently communicated that mutual respect was non-negotiable. The following days were tense. Lauren didn't contact me, just as she had instructed, and I respected her boundary completely. I focused on my work, my routine, and my own mental clarity, refusing to obsess over what she might be feeling or doing. Each message she didn't send, each call she didn't make, was a test, not of me, but of the balance in our relationship. I realized that her request for space wasn't just about a temporary break. It was about control, about seeing if I would crumble under uncertainty. Then came the first shift. A week later, Lauren reached out with a short, hesitant message. "Can we talk?" I didn't respond immediately. I allowed her words to linger, letting her reflect on the weight of her own actions. When I finally replied, I maintained the same calm tone I had used from the beginning. "Yes, we can talk. Let me know when." No panic, no rush, no emotional overreaction. My composure remained intact. When we finally met, she appeared nervous, almost fragile. Her eyes avoided mine at first, and her voice trembled slightly as she tried to explain herself. "Alex, I just felt overwhelmed. I needed space to think. I didn't know how to handle everything and thought stepping back might help." She expected anger, a storm of emotion. But instead, I listened quietly. I let her speak without interruption, nodding occasionally, keeping my tone calm and measured. As she talked, I realized something crucial. Her decision to ask for a break wasn't entirely about me. It was about her own fears, doubts, and inability to communicate effectively. My calm response had forced her to confront those feelings head-on. She couldn't manipulate, panic, or guilt me into reacting. My emotional stability created a mirror, reflecting the seriousness of her actions and the reality she needed to face. By the end of our conversation, Lauren's posture had shifted. Her nervousness gave way to vulnerability. "I didn't expect you to handle this calmly," she admitted, voice barely above a whisper. I thought you'd lose it, yell, or beg. But you didn't. You just stayed steady. It made me realize how much I value you, and how much I've taken for granted." Her words struck me, not with relief, but with the quiet confirmation that my approach had worked. I had given her space, but also subtly shown her the consequences of her emotional choices. Over the next few weeks, the dynamic between Lauren and me began to transform. She started communicating more openly, sharing her concerns without fear of judgment or an emotional outburst. I maintained my calm demeanor, listening, guiding, and setting boundaries without overreacting. The tension that had defined the days leading up to our break gradually eased, replaced by a cautious but genuine reconnection. Lauren's shift wasn't instant. There were moments of hesitation, lingering doubts, and occasional attempts to test the waters, but my steady response never wavered. I didn't react to manipulation or guilt. I simply remained composed, consistent, and respectful of both her feelings and my own. That consistency created a sense of safety and reliability, allowing her to confront her own emotions and take responsibility for her choices. One evening, after several weeks of open, honest dialogue, she turned to me and said, "Alex, I realize now how much I hurt us by asking for space without explaining myself. I was selfish, and I didn't consider how it would affect you or our future." I nodded, acknowledging her sincerity without rushing into forgiveness. "Thank you for saying that," I replied calmly. There was no dramatics, no overemphasis, just recognition of accountability. In that moment, the tension of the past weeks dissipated, and a new foundation began to form. One built on honesty, boundaries, and mutual respect. The most important lesson I learned through this experience is the power of composure in the face of emotional manipulation. By refusing to react impulsively, by holding my dignity and patience, I gave Lauren the space to confront her own choices, reflect on her behavior, and genuinely recommit to our relationship. My calm reply, just two simple words, "Okay," had shifted the entire dynamic. It demonstrated strength, self-respect, and emotional intelligence, and it allowed our relationship to heal in a way that anger or desperation never could. Today, our relationship feels more balanced, more resilient, and more connected than it has in years. Lauren and I share moments of authentic intimacy, laughter, and partnership. Moments that are no longer clouded by manipulation, fear, or uncertainty. That calm response during a moment of potential crisis became the turning point. What could have been the end of our engagement turned into the beginning of a deeper understanding, stronger communication, and renewed commitment. And I realized something profound. Sometimes staying calm isn't passive. It's the most powerful, transformative action one can take in the face of emotional chaos.